part 2 of our indie game madness. There are so many indie games. I'm playing Death Trash in the background. Let me just mute that. There are so many indie games, and I couldn't cover them all in one video. It would have been 2 hours long. Who wants to watch that? Everyone would much rather watch 2 1-hour videos. That takes much less time than watching 1 2-hour video, right? So we're going to go ahead and look at some more of the games that are available as demos on Steam. Played through so many of these, so you don't have to. Some of it felt like work, and some of it felt like, oh, this game's going to be special. And there's going to be a few of those in this video. In particular, in this video, I'm going to cover more retro FPS games. So let's do it. All right, let's talk about some retro FPS, shall we? How about some Dread Templar? When I first heard the soundtrack for this game, this other, retro first-person FPS, I thought it was Andrew Hulse for a second, but then I was like, no, there's more keyboard going on there. There's different stuff happening. It's not quite the same, but still kind of metal. And it turns out it's John Wheatley, who I was not aware of before, and music's great. So this is just me skipping to the actual game. It's got an interesting mechanic where you have like this kind of sword, looks like a katana or something. You have a dash move. That's like something you have to have with modern games, it seems. Dash move. Here we go, get that dash move going on. But your katana can be used to swing, or you can throw your katana and do extra damage. Let's get into the actual game. Thought this game had pretty good environments. You can hear the music there. It reminds me of kind of like music from Quake 2 or back in the CD-ROM days of like Descent 2 and 3 had like the CD-ROM soundtrack, not the MIDI soundtrack. You know, you can see it's got that extra little extra bit of electronica going on in the background, and it has the exact same thing that a lot of the early 2000s and 90s FPS games had, and that is a lot of brown. So I didn't feel like there were too many new ideas going on with Dread Templar, other than the fact that it was fun, the combat feels right, the jibs look good. It's just more of what everyone from that era likes, and it's more of all the stuff that was possibly a negative or that some people didn't like the overuse of brown and stuff. But we'll see that in a lot of our, FPS, retro FPS games. Let me skip forward a little bit. The environments are what I thought were really nice in this game, other than the music being something that stands out. But yeah, the environments were a little bit more dynamic and open than some of the FPS games I've played. But again, like I said, it doesn't feel like anything too brand new. This music right here. Let me bring it up. Anyway, when this is released, I'm going to come back and play it just because it's my kind of game, even if it's not treading any... I was a little bit loud, I'll say that again. I'm going to come back and play this game when it's released, because even though it's not really, I don't feel like breaking too much new ground. Maybe there's some different mechanics when it comes to navigation and stuff like that. There's also side areas of levels that are extra difficult, but will give you more power-ups and stuff, so that's kind of a new idea, maybe a little bit. But, it's cool. Let's look at another game that's quite similar in a lot of ways. So, we'll take a look at that now. This is Aske, and this was not on the Steam demo thing. You can get this demo right now online just by searching for ASKE. Just type Aske demo. I think this is running on the Quake engine, or I think it might be IdTech 1 or 2. I don't know. It feels like it, and that jump sound effect makes me think that it is like the whoop whoop. I think I might have liked the enemies better in this game, but they're both very similar. The environments are way more, corridor-centric. The graphics are also a little bit more pixelated. This one feels much more like I'm playing an old Quake-style game. So I think I have to look it up for sure to know that if it's Quake engine or not. But again, we're not breaking any new ground here with these. They're just giving us more of what we loved when we grew up and played these sorts of games. So I think I like the weapons better and the enemies better in this game so far. But the environments were better in Dread Templar, but they're both games I'm going to come back and play just because hey, if I can get more of this, then yes, I'll have it. I'll have more of this. I don't think either of those games are going to be like on Dusk's level quite. I mean, we'll have to wait and see what they turn into. But, you know, let me skip a little bit forward here so we can see some of the bigger bad guys, then we'll move on. Look at that double barrel shotgun. It's got all the tropes. You know, got the double barrel shotgun, single barrel shotgun. They're both on the same button, so if you toggle 3, press it once or twice, then you'll switch between the double barrel shotgun. So I was supposed to be able to go down that pipe, a la Mario Brothers. But as you can see, I'm standing on the pipe, and I kept going across the pipe, and I found a secret. Whoops. Because you shoot some things and open doors. I should be going down that pipe. Now I go through the entire level looking for where to go next. Extremely frustrating. And then I come back like, I don't know, 15 minutes later, and finally managed to go down the stupid pipe. Even though I'm like walking around on this, I'm walking around looking for where to go. Finally, look. Come on, I'm like, this has got to be where to go. Finally. That was really frustrating. So there's a few like things that are rough around the edges, slight amount of jank. But I thought Aske was fun, and I'm curious to see if they create some more like open environments that have like, you know, a little bit of outdoor action, bigger rooms, more dynamic, I guess, environments. It's just brown. I mean, it's just is that what we want when it comes to retro shooters? Do we just want the color brown, pixels brown, jibs, and double barrel shotgun? Done. That's all we need. I'm going to play this game when it's out, so there's that. Agent 64 Spies Never Die. So when I first saw the name, I thought it might be another like Agent Archer style game, but then I was like Agent 64, then I saw Golden Agent and all that kind of stuff, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a little bit of GoldenEye. So let's just skip into this a little bit and take a look. Okay, they say it's like a GoldenEye and Perfect Dark style game. This is GoldenEye. Like the equipment, the weapons, you know, you've got like that's like the Soviet or whatever, kind of like the AK or whatever in the game. But you've got the same style missions where you can choose your different agent level, and it gives you more objectives depending on what level of difficulty you select. You even have that where you like can hold down the right mouse button and it brings up a crosshair on the screen. It's kind of obtuse to have that on the screen. Let me see if I can go back and like when it first starts. I'm first learning how to play this. Yeah, see that? It's very awkward to have that on the screen, especially because that doesn't invert when you invert your mouse. You know, it's like two separate systems. Does not invert. So if you like to play with your mouse inverted, you're just going to have to realize that that's not the best way to play. Like holding down the normally when you played the GoldenEye or whatever, you would, if you wanted precision accuracy, you would hold down the R button and then aim on the screen. This one, it does not work on PC. Having to do that, nope. That's something that's in there purely for nostalgia, and it shouldn't be there. I'm going to go ahead and stop talking for a second. You're going to listen to me talk because I want you to hear the music, because they even tried to emulate the music of GoldenEye 64. I'm just going to try to run up, and animations are very spot on. This feels lower res than GoldenEye for some reason. Okay. That's what it sounds like. So it's but the game is fun. It's like quite a bit of fun. It's like it's almost too much of an homage. You know, like sometimes it's like you make a game that's like, okay, we're gonna make like a Quake style retro FPS clone, and you know, yeah, it's got some similarities to Quake, but I find that some of the games that we're gonna talk about today are almost too perfectly similar to the games that they're trying to emulate, where it comes off as almost just like a blatant copy, which I think is what some people do want. They just want more of what GoldenEye is. And so it was fun. You can't jump. It's just like I said, GoldenEye. It's fun. There's one of my objectives I'm doing here. So I'll probably come back and play through this one. If they, you know, I almost wish that they used the Source Engine port or the Source Engine mod of this game, GoldenEye 64, and just work with them to make a bunch of levels for that, because that game is really well done, but you can't sell that. So, yeah, you know, this is cool, and I think the developers did enough work that it does, you know, merit putting a price tag on. So, Agent 64, I will come back and play this, and I'll do it probably on stream. God, it's, AI is so dumb. They're just standing there. One of the things that's funny is like you shoot somebody right here, and right down here, these guys, like you just shot somebody. They didn't hear it. Worse AI than most immersive sims, which normally have terrible AI anyway. Next up, I played a game called Buff, and this was recommended by Major Arlene, so thanks very much for the recommendation. Unfortunately, and I'm sure she didn't know this when she told me to play this, I can't play a game unless it has an invert mouse option, and I couldn't find that in the menu. Maybe I missed it somewhere. But this is a ridiculously silly, old-school style FPS with a funny art style. It almost reminds me of of the Chex, whatever it is, the Chex Quest. Just the Chex Quest is a Doom mod. It's just a WAD you can get for Doom. But this is the enemies are so ridiculous, but you can tell I'm like having such a hard time aiming. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. The Mayhem level was up there with like Serious Sam, but I can't aim. I'm going up and down, up and down, up and down, and it's just not working out. So if you want to see something that's ridiculous, then maybe you'll enjoy that game. Next up, we're going to talk about Severed Steel. Severed Steel, a stylish and visceral single-player FPS featuring a fluid stunt system, destructible voxel environments, loads of bullet time. So let me just cut on over here into the gameplay. So this game is all about stunts. I'm just going to skip a little bit forward so you can see what I'm doing. But it's a very stylish FPS where you essentially have to be doing stunts the entire time. When you're doing stunts, things slow down, and stunts can be like wall jumps, dives through glass walls, sliding on the ground. Whenever you're doing a stunt, the enemies miss you. So you have to constantly be doing stunts and just constantly using the walls, the environment, sliding around and jumping off things. And it's kind of fun for a while. So, it's got a slight jank level to it at this point. But there's something going on here that's a little bit different. It's very bullet time. There's a lot of things that I've seen before in games, like being able to slide and duck and dive through walls. But putting it all together, it becomes almost like a little sport. So it was fun. I don't know if I'll come back to this one when it's out, but if they've made a ton of changes and a ton of improvements, maybe I will come back and play this some more, because it was like a little bit of fun. And the other thing that's nice about this is I could see this being something you could jump into and just play a couple levels as like a time killer, or maybe I'm waiting on something to render on a computer and I just want to jump in and hang out for a little bit, play a level, and then move on. So I think that that would be fun. And I did have a ton of fun with the mechanics. And when you actually pull some ridiculous stuff off, pull off some crazy stunts, it's fun. And they're also kind of a, what's that game? The Super Hot mechanic where like you kill someone like really close and you're out of ammo. They'll drop their gun and you'll just catch it in midair and keep going. So pretty fun. I do recommend it if you like these kind of high energy games. So check it out. An Escape from Naraka. It seems to be completely stylized in like Indonesian style, or maybe it was Indonesian. I don't remember where this game came from, but it's like Indonesian style, maybe a little bit of Indian style, Northern India. I don't know. So this game is another first-person game, but it is a platformer with some interesting mechanics. And one thing I want to say right off the bat is it's kind of funny. Like when you play some of these games, especially since I've been dabbling in the Unreal Engine, you look around and I keep seeing packages of content from the Unreal Marketplace that I've used, and a lot of these are like the free packages of content, which are, it's really awesome that developers are not having to create all these assets and all these meshes. Like even right there's Daniel was even noticing it right there. But yeah, these assets and stuff, they've taken them and then they've modified them a little bit and changed the color so they're hard to recognize. And like I said, it's cool that they're not having to recreate all these assets. So in this game, you go through different environments. There's plenty of spots where the game saves itself, and then this thing kills you. And there's action in the sense that there are beasts that will kill you, but as far as the demo goes, the only weapon you have is like an ice shard. So you have to freeze the enemy. Let me just skip forward to maybe an outdoor area. Now you have to freeze the enemy and run. So and it's much faster than you are. And there's a few different enemies, but this is the sort of the theme that's going on with this game. Stopping the enemy or slowing the enemy down and not killing it. And that sort of raises the tension level because you are not strong enough to kill these enemies, and it makes the game feel different compared to other games, or feel differently compared to other games. And the platforming mechanics normally, so that could be done really wrong, but they didn't. You know, the jumping it feels a little floaty at first, but you get used to it. The platforms are not too difficult to land on. There's obstacles and stuff like that. But, I don't know, the platforming feels pretty good. It doesn't feel like Doom Eternal levels of good, but you connect with the environment very well. When you jump and you want to grab something, it's not slippy. It grips, and things work out fine. Now we've got floating geometry. Every time I see that, I'm like, oh, we're playing Alice. We're playing some American McGee stuff here, but we're not. Anyway, very stylized as far as, well, I guess the colors and stuff go. Don't mess with that thing. And again, there's another bad guy that's there and dead. You really can't kill the bad guys. You just have to avoid them. So I thought it was quite a bit of fun, and I'm probably going to come back and check out the full version. Just getting through the different environments. Some of the environmental jumps and stuff were like almost like roller coaster rides. I skip past this and see if I can show any. There, I'll show you the ending part right now. I think I just left this guy alone because, yeah, nope. Yep, dead. Every time. Anyway, it was fun. Well done. Movement looked nice. And, something I'm going to come back to. All right, next up is War Tales. It's in ultra wide screen. I was playing some of these on my ultra wide monitor. I had to some of them might look a little weird. War Tales is one of the games that I think could be interesting, and I like what the developers are doing here. But this game does not feel like anything more than a tech demo. It does not feel like a demo ready for the public. It feels pre-alpha, but a lot of elements are there. It kind of reminds me of like a Heroes of Might and Magic type game, except taken seriously and done in a very realistic manner. But if you haven't played Heroes of Might and Magic, what's another game that could be similar to this? The combat's similar to like Star Trail or Realms of Arcana games. If you've played Call of Saragnar, that demo, the combat will be reminiscent to that. There's just not a lot of features. There's not a lot of ease of life features at this point. Like you have to there should be hotkeys for some stuff that I have to click on. There's not really any way for me to control or change my controls. So it feels a little clunkier than it should be. But there's something promising going on here under the hood. And I like some of the combat ideas we have going on here. Like he's got a long sword and it can swing and hit everyone that's in that arc, so I have to make sure it's not going to hit my friend right there. And there we go. Swing, hurry. There we go. So I'm only going to hit that guy. Anyway, that's the combat. Turn-based, slow, and tactical. Let's skip forward a little bit and show you what the towns look like. So the combats take a long time. The movement's super slow. And then here we have that mechanic, which I feel like is lifted straight from like the Heroes of Might and Magic style games where you have like resources that sparkle on the map and you go and pick them up. Then you discover some areas like this. Now, you're only controlling your little party there. And they're traveling around and doing things. I guess you can level your party up and collect supplies and buy new things and upgrade your caravan and maybe grow your number. But I didn't play that far into it because this feels so unfinished and so not ready to be played by people, even though there's a lot of cool ideas going on here. I think it could be a cool game to like chill out, lean back, and just play. So I'm going to watch and see what this team does. But for now, it's just not ready to be played, in my opinion. So maybe check it out if you like those games I've mentioned before. Anyway, it's just, how do you make them go faster? There's got to be a run button. Look how slow everybody goes. So you go and inspect this. Oh, look, I found some grease. Wonderful. All right, moving on. Keep doing that. Let's move on, shall we? All right, I've played something really ridiculous made by a 17-year-old. This is called Grapple Basketball. And that does not mean basketball wrestling. That means grappling hook. And I've got a thing for games with grappling hook just because it reminds me of old school ridiculous, Quake era games. But this one you have basketballs you have to use to knock out all the mannequins there. It's actually more difficult than it looks. You have to push the Q button to get your basketball back. But I'm going to skip into the game. The levels that you play through, you have to make it through the level, watching out for enemies, and you do so with a grappling hook. Let me just, come on, let's go forward. Where the hell's the game? There we go. You do so using a grappling hook, and you flail around and fly around the environments. I'm going to die, I think. I'm like under the environment. Yep, died. Kicking down doors, and the goal is to essentially dunk, or to make a basket, and then you go on to the next level. So you can use the environment. Here we go. It's ridiculous. It's not ready to be played just yet, I don't think. But it's goofy, high energy, and I like flying around the environments with my grappling hook. I don't know if I'm going to come back to this one or not. There's so many other games that have grappling hooks with similar mechanics, but this is ridiculous. And whenever you aim your shot, there we go, levels beaten. That's it. So you make your way through the environments, watch out for the bad guys, make a basketball shot, and you can use your basketball to knock out enemies. It's ridiculous. Okay, Bandit Simulator. I decided not to play this one all the way through because this game was another game that felt like it's not been in the oven long enough. And what they've done here is they've kind of... Let me just skip into the game. There we go. There's a slight bit of yikes here and there, but that's going to happen with some of these games. You start off in prison. They teach you how to lockpick quickly, or they give you a lockpick quickly. Let me just skip into it. And then they let you run around the town. And the town is huge. I feel like I'm running around something like Morrowind. There's too much dialogue. A lot of the indie games just had too much damn dialogue and too many things going on the screen that are completely irrelevant to what's happening. Like I understand giving the people character and stuff like that, but in a comedy game like this, I don't need to listen to a ridiculous amount of backstory from each character. Just let me get into it. Anyway, that gripe is aside, but you'll see that with a lot of poor cat. Anyway, you get turned loose in the city, and you can carry the animals. I thought I was going to pet a cat or pet a dog, and you ended up picking it up. Anyway, you get turned loose in the city, and you have little quests you can do, and the lighting is weird. The level of jank here is high, like very high. Everything you touch in the game, everything you steal, has a value. I'm not sure where you're going to fence some of this stuff, but this is my first quest here. I had to break into the house, pick the lock, and then access that chest. But when I first got up to it, I couldn't even open the chest. When I went back toward the front door here in just a second, it almost like activated the quest, and then because something popped up on the screen, and it was like, now I just need to open the chest. And then I could go open the chest. So there's just a very high level of jank. The graphics they're not good. So I know they're going for like sort of a retro style. It feels like I'm playing like old Morrowind or something. But the graphics are just not good. It's ridiculous. If you're playing this game as a comedy game, then it's kind of fun. But the level of jank is so high that it becomes like a little bit tedious. The size of the world is pretty. Let me go down to see if I got there's the tavern. I decided to punch people at some point. Get in trouble. Guards chasing me around. This animation. Let's see if I can show you the docks, because some areas are pretty cool. And you've seen this mechanic before, right? I mean, it's basically the Skyrim system of lockpicking. Not sure if it started in Skyrim, but yeah. Lots and lots of passageways on tops of roofs and stuff. Rooftops. Go to the water, would you? Kids, you can hit them, but they don't die. The adults will cower. The kids just cry. It's kind of weird. All right, that's enough of that game. It's okay. With Sacred Fire, I did not know what to make of this game at first. Let me give it a little bit of volume here so you can hear what it sounds like. Maybe not that much volume. You put together your character. Notice how their facial expressions are all like identical. It's just like you change your character. Okay, change my hairstyle? Is that what you mean? It's like basically the same sort of Norse-looking character. And you have all these stats and stuff. This game is not a traditional RPG in the sense that you're not controlling a character moving around on a map and doing like turn-based combat. This entire game is you playing What If. Let me just skip into it a little bit. There's the cheesy over-the-top stuff going on there. So you're in the game, and this is what you see while you're playing it. Like I'm hunting a deer right now. and it's just a percentile-based system where you have to roll under to accomplish things. And a little narrative exposition happens, and you choose what you want to do, and some of the things come with a risk, some of them have percentile chances for success, and you play the game. The document for putting this together must be absurdly ridiculous because there's just so... And you keep showing these close-ups that have no expression. These faces need expressions. It's almost funny. I know that they're probably working on this, but it would need expressions. Like right here, I'm deciding if I want to slide down a hill on my feet or on my backside. There's like lots of choices that feel almost like they don't matter. But as you're playing, a lot of these choices will come up in later conversations or combat or whatever. Let's skip forward a little bit. Show you some combat. So I'm watching a combat. There we go. And at first I was like, this is stupid. I don't want to play this. And then I kept playing, and I played through the entire demo. If you really like filling out online surveys that ask you questions, what would you do in this situation? What would you do in that situation? Do you think this is right or wrong? Do you want to go left or right? Like that kind of stuff. Kind of a little bit of Zork, but you're just clicking on stuff. And there's all these things, like whenever you do something, oh, you got +2 control, -1 fear, like depending on what you do. So of course I'm going to go view the battle. I failed to go view the battle by rolling a 94. So it was interesting, and I kind of halfway got into the story. Never played a game that's quite like this, where you're literally just, I don't know. I feel like we need more stuff going on other than these like just dramatic camera angles with like close up of the face. When you unlock those new ideas, maybe later on when you're in combat or when you're talking to somebody else, you'll be able to rely upon, or I guess not rely upon, you'll be able to go back and use that idea in conversation. So let me just skip forward a little bit here. Get into the town, and like the town people are talking to me. You have like a system here of sort of a hierarchy as you go up through the town. You can view the other people in the town and what they do. They all have like beautiful hair and eyes and stuff like that. This town of like chiseled models. Like look at them all. Where's the guys? Even the leader of the town, where is he? There we go. All these guys, they're all like, I feel like everyone in this town could be a model. It's weird. Even this guy is like, I used to be a model. But you talk to him and stuff. It's interesting. Will I come back and finish it when it actually comes out? I think I got enough just playing the demo. But if you like the idea of this progression, where you're literally just going through and answering questions and stuff like that, maybe you'll have some fun with it. Oh, hi, it's Succubus. This game's going to be highly censored for the demo. Let's just get into it. So here we go. If you remember Agony, that ridiculously over-the-top, cringy game, well, same studios decided to bring us... Oh, what the hell is that? That's not happening. They decided to bring us the Succubus character and give her own action game. So we got an action FPS here, and yeah, it's highly censored because in this game there's plenty of nudity, but we can't show you nudity. But what we can show you is gratuitous violence, dismemberment, gore, sluice. That's completely safe for children, but boobs, no, I can't show you that. So this has a mechanic that's pretty much straight out of the modern Doom games, where when a character is blinking slightly yellow, this game has such a weird looking filter, it's hard to tell. You can perform like a ridiculous death attack like I'm doing there. The T's yellow, pick him up and do some over-the-top gratuitous violence. Oh god, you just hit people and body parts fly everywhere. There's a lot of stuff censored, so when you get the regular version of the game, you can uncensor this if you want. But I found a lot of this stuff to be extremely try-hardy, and even more so than Agony. Like, Agony was like, oh god, I wanted to love it because I really enjoy like just over-the-top nonsense like this, just evil, violence, nudity, hell, gore. But it's so... the jokes fall flat as well. Let me just turn the volume on and let you hear some of the jokes. Yeah, of course, just like, let's just be as edgy as possible. Like right here is going to be a really stupid joke line of dialogue coming right up. Can we get to it? Come on.
Sliding through such a tight slit. Do the scratches on your skin not bother you?
Ha! No. It feels like I'm squeezing into somewhere I shouldn't be. Only, it excites me.
That thing just appeared for that extremely cringy joke. That's about all I could do this. I really wanted to I really hope this would be like a fun, fast-paced action game, but it's just too cringy and goofy. And the combat, it's just like, doesn't stop. I don't know, it felt really button mashy. No, I'm not going to play this game. Oh well. I mean, hey, violence though. That's good for kids. Okay, the least realistic game in the entire list here is Police Shootout. And the reason it's not realistic is because this is a game that allows you to go through and do a bunch of police shootouts, like shootout scenarios and stuff like that. And you play as a cop. And what's not realistic is you're not shooting any innocent bystanders and you're not shooting any pets. And I thought that this was going to be a more accurate simulation where you show up on the scene, shoot anyone who's not white, shoot any dogs that move, shoot at the cats, turn off your body camera, and then cry all the way home about like how I feared for my life. But it's not. You actually go in and try to stop crime, which I didn't know that that's what the police did. So I don't know what country this is based in. It seems like it's based in America. Anyway, my political rant is over, and all of the sensitive males may have fun in the comments. That's what I did that for, so that you can be outraged. Let your white rage go. So anyway, there's a pretty interesting mechanic at play here, and this is not the mechanic that I saw in the demo video at all. Like, this is a different mechanic. In the demo video, you were selecting body parts and then firing. This one, it's turn-based, first person, and you have to go and find. Let's just get into the actual gameplay. This part, yeah, I go to inspect an accident. This is what's happening. And these two guys are arguing with each other. This guy calls the other one a queen for being upset that he ran into him. Look at that. Like a queen, a cow. Who wrote this garbage? Anyway, in the middle of all this going on, there's a shootout in the grocery store. God, this feels just like Americans, like everyone's so afraid of all the time there being shooters. And the shooter's motivation? Well, of course, to kill more people. I'm like, what are the shooters doing here? They're like, are they still in the story? Like, yes, they're actively running around looking for people to kill. It's like, if you're new to the situations in America, most Americans are terrified of crime, which does not really exist to the level at which people think it exists. It's gone up a little bit since the last couple of years, thanks to poverty rising. But I feel like this game is about the fear that Americans feel about crime happening everywhere, shootouts happening everywhere, and then in comes the heroic police, which we don't have in America. We have oh no, there's the bad guy. We don't have that. But I did think the play mechanics were somewhat interesting. After I started playing it, I was like, this is garbage. Like, there we go. I'm aiming at this guy, but I have to wait my turn. You only have so many points you can use to do your movements. There, I'm going to move over there. There we go. And then you aim, and you have to hold down the right button to aim, and then click at just the right time to shoot him. But I don't think I have it. There we go. Right, and then shoot right there. But you still miss. It's still. So now I've got to hide behind this box while this guy shoots me. Ow. And then whose turn is it now? So anyway, this is how it goes. Headshot's an instant kill. So that's pretty much what's going on. And you have a bunch of missions you do in the levels. You know what? Screw this game. This game's garbage. It's jank and it's garbage. And fuck the police while we're at it. Ending of part 2. So that's the end of part 2. So many indie games. If you didn't see the end of part 1, I'm going to reiterate something. Indie games are where it's at for people with discerning taste. Or if you're looking for a certain thing, like back in the old days, like the original Nintendo, old PC games, DOS games, and stuff like that. Games are a little more ridiculous and wild. There was only a few small nerds on each project. Generally, they had smaller budgets and shorter time schedules, and they didn't have a lot of oversight from corporate lords or whatever. There weren't huge structures above them telling them what they could and couldn't make based upon based upon what makes money, like microtransactions and live service games, or as Jim Sterling says it, live services. So there wasn't as much of that nonsense. And I feel like that's completely shifted. And people who complain that games suck now, I think they just haven't played indie games, because there is something that's for you. Something made just for you. It's out there. If you haven't found it, you haven't looked hard enough. So start looking at some of these indie games. Hopefully you found something in this video that's like, that's what I want to play. That's it. There it is. I didn't know it existed. Now I do. And if there's something out there that really does, hit every note for you, let me know what it is in the comments. What could it possibly be? If it's some EA nonsense, I swear to God. Or some Marvel nonsense. What a culture rot that's become. That's the end. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for watching part 1 and 2. If you haven't watched part 1, then go watch it. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Advertising. Get some of this stuff. I love this mouse. You can also get this mouse without the weights. I'll take the weights out, make it under 100 grams for you. I like my mice a little heavier, but that's because, I've got these big beefy arms. Oh, jeez. Oh, by the way, John S. Wheatley I was talking about earlier. Go and follow him here on the Twitter. Do an advertisement here for him. He did the music for Death Templar. Dread Templar, not Death Templar. Dread Templar. Go and check that out. I'm glad I accidentally hit my screen, button. Anyway, get yourself a shirt while you're over on epicpants.com as well. Bye, everybody. I've got to find the stop button again.